Hello there and welcome to another MCI Studio tutorial with me, Pippin Henderson. Today we're dealing with harmonies and backing vocals. What we have in front of us here is a very popular tune that I have re-recorded, and it's going to give you a basic outlook on a three-part harmony we have here, or maybe a two-part harmony in fact. We've got the main vocal line here, and we have two harmonies of this vocal line, and then we have an octave of this main root here. So I'm going to play it, I'm going to solo these harmonies here, have a listen, and then we'll break it down and go through each section.
When the night has been so lonely and the road has been too long, and you feel like love is only for the lucky and the strong.
Okay, so there's the four-part harmony we have there. What we have is, this is a good example of a harmony that you don't mind having all the voices up front. This is not to be confused with backing vocals that may be harmonized. That's a slightly different thing, and you mix it slightly differently, because with backing vocals you want them slightly behind the rest of the mix, not too much but slightly behind the rest of it, so the actual the lead vocals can be up front and you can distinguish the two. So you need the person who's listening to be able to distinguish the main vocals and the backing vocals and know which is which, without having to strain your ears. So this is different because with a full harmony such as this, each kind of voice is a lead vocal in a sense. Maybe you want the root main vocals to be slightly more upfront than the rest of them, so you can get the tune. But you want all of them kind of at the same level, so you can get that nice rounded feel. And this is a great tune to do this with. So we started off with obviously the main tune.
When the night has been so lonely.
Okay, and then we added just a standard, I think this is a fifth above the main vocal, and we got this.
When the night has been so lonely and the road has been too long, and you feel like love is only for the lucky and the strong.
Now, if you're listening there, you might actually hear a slight error. There's the click track in the background there, but you'll notice that the main vocals here, well, main-ish vocals, the vocals that are doing the main melody, they're more centered in the mix, and these vocals here, if I just solo them, you'll notice are panned with this with the channel tools, and I think it's just this increased width preset here that I used, and I think that's all I used really, apart from there's a boost 11 and an equalizer. But I wanted to separate the harmony here away from the main melody, and obviously you get this.
When the night has been so lonely.
Okay, so it's kind of stereoed. You can hear it through the left and the right, whereas this one here is much more centered. And then we went on and did a third harmony, well, a second harmony if you like, on top of the main melody, and we got this. And you'll notice now that it's starting to become much more full. So yeah, have a listen.
When the night has been so lonely, and the road has been too long, and you feel like love is only for the lucky and the strong.
Okay, and I think pretty much I used the same effects on this harmony here as I did with this one. I used the channel tools and used the increased width. Just to separate it again from this, I wanted these two to kind of be linked, so they kind of melted and melded in with each other, and you heard this one slightly over the top. But then I was thinking, because I was going to leave it at that, but I thought, no, it would be really nice if we had a female kind of range in there as well. And we were trying out all kinds of harmonies that would go over the top of this. And all the other harmonies that were going were kind of making it messy, and it was taking away from these two lovely harmonies that we had. So I made a suggestion that she did the octave of the main melody that we have here. So she just did the same melody, but an octave higher is what I'm doing here. It might actually be a couple of octaves higher, but in the range that she's comfortable with. So have a listen, and I think this really pulled it together. It was a really nice mix, and we left it at that.
When the night has been so lonely, and the road has been too long, and you feel like love is only for the lucky and the strong.
Yeah, I think that really pulled it together nicely. There are a couple of tricks you can do when you're doing stuff like this. There's a couple of mic techniques you can use. For instance, if you, on this particular occasion, I didn't do it. I've used the channel tools effect to kind of replicate the angle of the voice. But if you are recording each singer separately, like I have done here, because obviously you can, if you've got all of them, if they're all different people and they're all doing their own different harmonies, and if they're comfortable doing it, you can actually record them all at the same time around one mic, and that can work okay if you do it right. But the preferred method that I tend to use is I like to get each and every single person to do their harmony, and I can kind of tweak and work on each individual one as I see fit. It takes more time, but you can kind of have much more control over how it sounds and how it feels and which direction you want it to go in. And there's a couple of things you can do. For instance, if you've got the main melody, you get the singer to stand pretty direct on to the mic. And if you're doing a harmony that's going to be panned slightly to the left later on, you get them to stand slightly further back from the mic, because you don't want them to be as close as the guy who's singing the main melody. So you get them to stand slightly further back to give what that will do will add more ambience from the room. So if you've got a nice room with nice reverb effect, or if you're not in a dead studio with soundproofing and whatnot, and it's quite nice actually if you're recording harmonies to go into a room that's fairly big and has walls that are going to bounce the sound back to you. So you get the singer to stand further back from the mic. You'll get the voice will start bouncing off the walls and going into the mic as well, and that will give you the reverb sound that sometimes you're after. And you get them to stand slightly to the left or slightly to the right, depending on which which angle you want them to be in the mix. Now, you won't get the benefits of that immediately after you've recorded it, but if you've got them standing slightly back and slightly to the left, and you pan it in the software to the left or to the right, you'll start noticing that actually it's benefited that pan you've just done, and it'll just add to the effect. So there's a technique you can use there. So that's that. Now there is obviously, oh yeah, another thing, if you're working on backing vocals or harmony, so if I wanted to, so say these two here, which are the real harmonies here in this mix, I would take these two, I haven't done it here, but I would take these two and I would assign them to a bus and put all the effects, because you pretty much you're going to have the same effects in each track to make them sound similar. So I would actually have these two routed to a bus, have these three effects in that bus, and then I won't have any effects in these two tracks here. And I'll be able to control these two effects here really easily with that one bus, but also be able to control them individually if I needed to with the tracks. And that comes into effect with this piece of music here. Now this piece will give you a good idea of backing vocals. The same kind of principle as what we've just talked about with the harmonies, but it's controlled slightly differently. What we have here is the main vocal line here, main vocal melody, and we have the backing vocals here, and here, and here. The difference being is that rather than being a full 3-4 piece harmony that's singing all together in unison, backing vocals only kind of come in on key moments within the song. So they're kind of accentuating certain words, certain phrases, and kind of making those stand out. And that's really the principle of backing vocals. And you can have them harmonized or not, depending on your needs. So have a listen to this piece here, and kind of listen to the, kind of hone in on the backing vocals here, and then we'll solo these three and take a better look at them.
Bad dream, it never ends, standing at the point of no return. A question in my life that has no meaning, it has no reason. Now I'm standing here and it's like a hard-drawn life, and it's a shame, my dear, that there's no one here to wipe these tears. A twisted turn of fate, and now you're walking through the lives of everyone you loved to hate.
You see there that the backing vocals aren't going all the way through the song. They're just coming in on keywords and key phrases. Okay, so let's solo these three tracks here and have a listen to them a cappella and break it down. Okay, so like I said, we've got the main vocal line here and these two backing tracks, and we've basically got the same principles. I think they're fifths, and these are routed to a bus. They're in this bus here, and I've used channel tools on these two as well. These haven't been individually panned, and again, I think it was the increased width preset. I don't think I did anything extra. I have a bit of reverb and just slightly up in the equalizer there. So there's nothing special going on, but you'll notice that it adds a real depth to the song if you've got a couple of backing singers handy, or if you're going to do some backing vocals yourself. Okay, so let's have a look at them. Have a listen to them a cappella.
Standing at the point of no return, it's like a hard-drawn life, and it's a shame, my dear, that there's no one here to wipe these tears. A twisted turn of fate, And now you're walking through the lives of everyone you loved to hate.
Okay. Backing vocals and full-on harmonies, of course, you're going to hear the difference there. I hope you've heard the difference. That sort of full-on harmonies, they're much more forward in the mix in terms of all of them put together. And the backing vocals, what you want is you want these two sat slightly behind. So maybe that means reducing them in volume, but also you want them sitting in their own area, because we've got this here, this main vocal piece here, or main melody, is central in the mix.
Standing at the point.
It's up there at the front. It's slightly louder than the backing vocals, and then we've got the backing vocals that are stereoed, and that's taking it away immediately from the main melody because it's not sitting in the same space. And a lot of people are asking me what I mean by things having their own space in the mix. Think of somebody standing and you're looking at them from an aerial point of view. If you draw a circle around their head, where their face is, that's central. So the top of the circle, right, say they're looking up, okay? We've got a circle around their head and they're looking up. The top of that circle is central, okay? So that's where the main vocals are going to sit, yeah? And then we've got the backing vocals, which is the left and the right of that circle, yeah? That's the ears. And that's a space. These are the spaces. And then maybe in the middle of the left ear and the center, you can have the bass, you can have the drum sitting slightly further back. That's what we mean when we say space. If you listen to something through earphones and you can notice that something is slightly to the left, but it's at the front, but slightly panned to the left. It's not fully in your left ear, but it's slightly more towards your left ear than it is forward. That's spacing. That's how you space things out. It's how things don't become muddy, and you can distinguish each and every instrument. And that's really the key that you're aiming for in any kind of music, especially when it comes to backing vocals and things like that. You want the person who's listening to be able to distinguish the backing vocal from the main melody. Otherwise, it's just going to be messy and muddy, and it's not going to be an enjoyable experience. Try, rather than using the channel tools like we've used here, try using the pan on individual tracks and seeing what kind of effects you can do with that. And if that doesn't kind of work for you, use the channel tools. It really is a really good effect to use, and it's great for creating things and putting them in their own space. So do that. With harmonies, with full-on harmonies, you want to find, first obviously you want to find out your own harmony. They're not going to be exactly the same as this here. But try working in thirds and fifths. That's like that's generally what you try and do. Try and work with when you're working in harmonies. Anything other than that kind of starts to sound not bad, because it works in some things. It kind of to sound a little off key, but it can work in some situations. So thirds and fifths, use panning, use that vocal technique I told you about with the microphone, and yeah, good luck. I hope this helps. So I'm really sorry for the delay with the tutorial. My computer broke down. I didn't know what I was going to do, but thankfully it's all okay now. So yeah, try that out. I hope this helps. Have fun, and I will see you very soon for another tutorial. Thanks very much.